All right, we are live. Let me get this tweeted out here. Awesome. I hope everybody had a great weekend, had a blessed Sunday, and is looking forward to another great trading week. This is going to be the first full trading week in a while. So after the long vacation period, so it's going to be the first, really full week, full-time week, with a lot of traders coming back from vacation. And so we should actually, despite some of the big days and big moves that we've had, we should see some more volume coming in this week potentially. So keep in mind, big news this week. We have, big thing has been, we got another Powell day on Wednesday. So Fed minutes are Wednesday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So let's see what kind of news or what kind of action the market has after that. I mean, that's just market usually reacts on Fed days, but it's just been reacting like crazy on Fed days recently. So it makes it really interesting to trade and gives us some more volatility. However, for our swing positions, it gives us a little bit of concern, a little bit of pause. So more than likely, unless if I put on a trade for the $500 to $50,000 challenge sometime Monday or Tuesday. More than likely, I'll probably take it off on Wednesday if we're profitable, and then just wait to regroup after that. So if we even put on a trade, so a bunch of stuff is looking really good. So there is a potential right after the speech on Wednesday at 2:30 that we could put on a trade, because it'll be very clear what direction the market's going to take after that, at least for the short term. So the normal format. That I normally run the evening videos. We're going to keep the exact same thing. So tonight, we're going to. I'm just going to kind of give an overview of the market, and then normally what I do after that is get into some sort of. I review some sort of technical analysis tool, candlestick formation, or other formation, something to help learn. But this week, instead of being random with different things. That we can add to our tool belt. This week, for the next 5 days, I'm just going to make it the Elliott Wave special because I use that a lot. I'm using it primarily, as a guide for the $550,000 challenge. But it's also any folks that aren't familiar with it or haven't had a chance to read a lot of the books that I've recommended, primarily the one by Frost and Prechter, which is the really the encyclopedia of Elliott Wave principle. There's a bunch of other books I've recommended too. I just kind of want to give an overview of it. So anyway, real quick before I get into that, just in case anybody's jumping in a little bit late. So before we actually get into the lesson, just kind of wanted to go over where we're at with the S&P. So as you know, 2018 we were following this channel up here until we hit the double top. Right, and then we started, and we'll talk about this a little bit more. We started a corrective phase down, right? So and potentially the entry into a full bear market, where not only is it a corrective phase, but we could be setting a whole new trend. So if it's a new bear market, this will just continue down, just like it did with the whole bull market for the last, century. And so basically, we'll see. But anyway, so the what we had, right? We had a wave 1 down, and then we had an ABC correction, which made wave 2, right? And we had a wave 3 down, right? And so right now, I had a question in Twitter, why didn't I label this a full wave 3 yet? It could be, right? We don't know quite yet. But for the most part, we know there was one impulsive wave down, and right now it's correcting, right? So whether it's a full wave 3 or a partial or a sub wave 3, the wave 4 correction should end somewhere around this 38.2% area, right? And we'll talk about Fibonacci's, I think, on day 3. But in general, wave 4s like to correct either 23.6 to 38.2%. So definitely, and we'll also talk about rules. We'll address a few of those today. But one of the rules is wave 4 can never overlap wave 1. And so here, wave 1, if we're correct, is which it looks like we should be, is 2603.54. So if the S&P ticks above that, then it invalidates the wave. right? The rule is broken. This is not a wave 4 correction, right? We'd have to relabel it and see exactly, what we're looking at. So, but for the most part, everything is looking pretty textbook right now. So, wouldn't be surprised to see. I mean, obviously we're gapping up right now with the futures. So if the market gaps up a little bit, wouldn't be surprised to see another push up. Might even drift up a little bit over the next couple of days. And then if everything, I mean, who knows? I mean, like you said, I mean, Powell could come out with something completely positive that should give the market a boost, but the market is just kind of cooking it in, getting ready to sell the news, right? So we could see that. And again, this 38.2, you guys know I use Andrew's pitchfork a lot. This 38.2% retrace for wave 4 is right at this larger time frame, right, from pivot basically from October, November all the way down to April, is hitting a resistance part at the resistance line at the median line of that pitchfork. And so it's very possible whatever he says brings us down. So that's one of the reasons I really don't want to have any longs on going through Wednesday. At the same time, I want to watch for shorts, because if it does decide to break through and give a new upside, and really if it turns out that this whole move here was one big A correction down, and then we have a B wave that takes us all the way back up to new all-time highs, or whatever the case may be, we don't want to get caught up in that either, right? There'll be plenty of setups for us to get involved, and there'll be plenty of days before the next Fed meeting anyway. And there's plenty of months left in the year for us to get this challenge to work for us, right? We really only need 2 10x trades and we're done, right? So although that's probably not going to be the exact way it's going to play out, but as long as as long as we average, what Pierre put one out, as long as we average 48-point-something% each month, we should be good, compounded. So anyway, so that's kind of an overview of the market there. So let's talk about Elliott Wave. So Elliott Wave was, the reason it has the name Elliott Wave is because a gentleman by the name of Ralph Nelson Elliott, who's also known as R.N. Elliott, I think that was his nickname, R.N. R.N. Elliott was an accountant back in the 1920s, early 1900s, right? In the 1930s, something happened. He got sick, couldn't do his job anymore, and basically spent his time where he couldn't basically work, just studying the stock market, right, and just analyzing it and trying to figure out what was going on. So this, of course, is before the days where we had automated charts like we are blessed to have these days. Back then, they just had, as far as I know, they just had the tape, right, and tickers and your high and lows. I think they pretty much gave you the high and low of the day. So what he did is he probably charted everything out, basically using customary these it's kind of the bar charts, right, which is very Western style, right, Eastern style candlesticks, right. So but this is kind of your classic type chart. So he would have plotted these out and he would have observed it and tried to figure out what was going on, right. And so what he found is that they traded in what he called waves, right? And so it's kind of interesting, when you look, I always kind of thought that too. When I first started looking at the stock market, I was like, what do these look like, right? These look like sine waves, right? Or like, cosine waves, or some sort of trigonometric wave, right? Or even if you don't even look at it like trig, I mean, it's like, they just have that kind of wave type feel, right? There's up and down and up and down, right? It seems they move like, they gyrate like a wave might. And so, that's probably where he came up with the term. And ultimately what he did is he started finding patterns in it, right? And then ultimately what he came up with is he found out that the patterns were not only came often, but they came all the time, and they came no matter what time frame you looked at it, right? So if we go to the monthly, if I could pull this up, let me see if I can pull up SPY a little bit quicker. Sometimes you guys know, sometimes my thinkorswim gets a little caught up here. You have to click that and refresh it. Okay, so if we go to the monthly here, we'll just go back to SPX. Okay, a lot of mess up here, right? But the monthly time frame too, right, also takes these patterns, right? So what he found is that waves are essentially fractals of each other, right? And what he found is that waves move in 5 wave movements in one direction, and then 3 wave movements in an opposite direction, right? So the first move in the upper direction is what he would call the 2 different phases, right? So he would call the one the motive phase, right? So this would be motive because it's going up. well, it doesn't necessarily have to go up, right? It could go either way. So it's just the larger move is typically a motive phase, and then the corrective phase is the one that pulls back, right? So that one there would be corrective, right? Because it's based on whatever trend it is, right? So right here, the trend is obviously moving up, and then here it's correcting back down. Here, obviously, since the Great Recession, right? So here the trend is clearly moving up. So anything pulled back. So here we would have motive phase, and here we would have activate. And here any of these pullbacks, right, would be called corrective phases. Okay, and so so today we're just kind of going over just the basics, right? So motive phases have two different types, right? One is an impulse wave, and the other one is a diagonal, right? So, and this gets really interesting because as you find different type of wave setups, or I'm sorry, different type of chart setups that are out there, right? A lot of it you see like a lot of rising wedges, falling wedges, triangle type patterns, right? This all kind of ties in to the Elliott Wave theory, and in my opinion, a lot of this is really just derived from it. A lot of people find Elliott Wave very complicated, and it is, right? I mean, because it's a lot of information. But once you get it and you start being able to apply it and use it, it just makes total sense. And so when you start seeing, a lot of the common chart patterns out there, it kind of makes sense that a lot of it was derived from it, right? So anyway, in these wave moves, right? So what he found is that motive phases move in 5 waves, and corrective waves move in 3 waves. And so a wave is just the sort of like a general movement of the stock. And what he noticed is that those movements come in segments, right? One up, one down, one up, one down, right? Until you get to the corrective phase. And so what we'll see is, let me just kind of go over here just to draw one. I'm just going to go up here. So a typical Elliott wave pattern would look like this. That's wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And so what I'll do is I'll label those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so this is your motive sequence right here, right? So this is your motive, right? It also happens to be an impulse wave, right? An impulse wave is a 5-wave move in one direction, right? The reason that you don't just call all motive waves impulse waves is because they can also be diagonals. Diagonals would look like this. So a leading diagonal could be wave 1, so it could be like this. So sometimes you guys see the rising wedge pattern, right? So here I'll change the color of that to blue. Okay. All right. Sometimes you guys will see rising wedge patterns. We talked about that setup the other night. So when that rising wedge pattern, right, if that it was possibly a leading diagonal in a motive or in a motive wave, right? So that's not an impulse wave; it's a leading diagonal. So when that breaks to the downside, then we get into the corrective phase, right? And of this 5-wave move, and wave 3. So this is this right here, this leg right here. That's your wave. That's your wave 1, right? This leg right here is your wave 2. So where you label it is at the end, the termination point of the wave. Okay. So since wave 2 here, it terminates here, that you'd label that 2. Wave 3 is this leg right here, it terminates here. Wave 4 terminates here, right? That's the leg. And then wave 5, same thing. Okay? So, and it also, but wave 3 is never a diagonal. Right? It's always an impulse wave. So here, same thing with wave 5. Right? It could be, right, a rising wedge, or what, as it's called in Elliott Wave principle, an ending diagonal. So in that case too, it would be an ending diagonal. So you'll start to see these everywhere, right? So and that's what I would task you with over the next couple days, is to just start identifying those, right, and trying to label them, right? And so what I want to do is real quick is give you a couple rules to follow, right? And Nelson Elliott gave what he found is when he went through everything, that as long as these rules aren't broken, right, it fits it. You have yourself a full wave structure, right? And so let me find. So basically, I want to make sure I have them. All right. So the first rule would be that wave 3, this guy right here, can never be the shortest wave. Okay, so this helps, right? So these rules and then the guidelines that you can read in the book help you determine where you're at. It helps you label your wave too. So why are we doing this, right? The reason that we're doing this is not just so we can make pretty waves and numbers and all that stuff. The reason that we're doing it is to use it for its predictive power, right? To determine what direction or the next move that the market or a particular stock is going to make, right? And so so that's why we do it. And these rules help us determine where we're at in that position, so we can make those determinations, right? So if you're labeling something, if you're going through and you're finding that this wave 3 is not the, it doesn't have to be is the shortest wave, right? If you find that's the case, then there's something wrong with your labeling. And if something, if you decide like, hey, I'm going to enter here, like we're at this pullback, let's say like at 23% or 38% pullback, right? And then it ends up going past it like 50%, then the reason is because you didn't label it right? And so if it was indeed short, and basically you can kind of do that because like that if you're seeing a pullback, let's say here, and it's shorter than wave 1, usually wave 3 is the longest wave. You probably don't want to trade that, right? Because it's already cutting itself off lower than wave 1. You would want to wait until wave 5 is formed, where you're at with the greater position or the greater count of those waves. So that's why we label these things. It helps give us predictive power. And I'll kind of show some examples. We talk about the $550,000 challenge on some of the stocks that we're looking at and why we're labeling it the way we are, right? And so and why it's helpful, why we can be a lot more confident in where the stock is going, right? So anyway, that's the idea here. Now zoom in, right? So let me. So then here, after you finish a wave 5, right, then you go into a corrective phase. So the cool part is that that's something that can help you trade, right? If you can find an impulse wave somewhere and you can count 5 waves up, right, you're going to have a corrective pattern down. So let me just show a quick example. In fact, I don't know how many of you guys follow KPAC, but he posts some awesome charts, and a lot of stuff he posts, like rising wedges, falling wedges. If you go into that time frame, you can see where we're at, in terms of Elliott Wave, in terms of the channel. So, or in terms of whatever is being posted, right? So here, if we check out where we started today with the S&P, this is a very clear. This is live right now on the on the S&P futures, right? This is a live wave right here, right? And so so if you kind of look at this is how I'd label it, right? So this would be a wave 1 up, which is an impulse wave. 2 would be a corrective wave. 3 would be another impulse wave. 4, correction back here. And then a 5th wave up here. Okay, so it makes sense, right? Somewhere around here, if you guys are following KPAC, he posted something that this was heading towards a resistance level, and it's pulling back, and it is, right? So if there was I think if you draw like this trend line here, sorry, I'm not gonna get it right on this, but yeah, not quite. But anyway, somewhere. The point is that this since the market opened today or this evening, right? Or since from yesterday, we're getting this impulsive structure up, right, from this low, this significant low. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So once you can count a relatively accurate 5 waves up, right, that there's going to be a correction, right? And you guys know this intuitively, right? Because when you guys are trading, things just don't go up forever, right? They always pull back, right? Whatever the case is, other people are taking profit. Maybe you get some shorts coming in, whatever the case is. And the reason that this is because of the way the way that people, and I guess the way algorithms are programmed to represent the way things move, is that we herd together, right? If things are going up, everybody jumps in, right? And if somebody starts getting out, a bunch of other people start getting out, right? So here, somebody bought, a couple other people bought. All right, now a bunch of people are buying, right? Now people start taking profit, right? And then people start dumping and selling, and then they're all sold. They're like, oh, well, let me try to buy it, right? So you can kind of see it's like this kind of this roller coaster type wave where everybody's coming in together and then selling together, coming in together, selling together, right? So it really represents, a broader kind of market psychology, right? So anyway, the idea is if you can get a good count in based on your time frame, and you get better at it over time, right? You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Once you know where you're at, right, then you can anticipate a pullback. And so the key is if you can find a significant low, right? The best waves that you want to trade, right, are in, wave 3. And why is that? Because we know that wave 3, just by one of the rules, is not one of the is never going to be the shortest wave. So usually, and it's always an impulse wave, right? So it's not going to be an ending diagonal. It's not going to be a beginning diagonal, right? So if you can accurately determine the first wave, right? Now wave 1 is always going to be either an opening diagonal or an impulse wave, right? So if you can accurately get a count on wave 1, and then you can determine the pullback on wave 2, then you can comfortably trade within this impulse of wave 3, right? So however you do that in those ranges. So if you can find it on a larger time frame, let's say like on a daily time frame, here. So this is great, right? So if you're good at Elliott Wave, right, and you get the idea, so this kind of represents like the S&P or the SPX. But let me just go back to the SPX. We'll get off the live chart right now. So if we go to the SPX, right, if you notice that there was a double top, right, all right, cool, right, if you didn't short from there, whatever, no big deal, right, you would have noticed too that, particularly on the shorter time frame, you can see the weight impulse down, right, so you would have counted, all right, so you missed the double top, whatever the case is, and then it had this huge down move that hit the end of the channel, right? So you had like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so you counted 5 waves down. So you knew this wave 1, was done, right? So you knew there'd be a correction, right? And it just happened to coincide. You use your other technical analysis tools. It happened to coincide with a channel bottom, right? So around this time, a bunch of people went long, right? It made sense because most people who don't do Elliott Wave, they're like, oh, it hit the channel bottom. But we knew it was the bottom because it was 5 waves down, right? And then we know, like we showed over there, that it's ready for a corrective phase, right? So we'll talk about corrective waves, later this week, probably like Wednesday. But they always form as a 3-wave pattern. But there's different types of 3-wave patterns that can form. This one just happened to do just kind of a traditional flat to get to wave 2, which is just an A, B, C pattern, right? So we could have traded this very easily from this channel bottom. We knew people were getting in, right? Generally just from that technical signal, and then could have traded it to the upside, at least for a decent amount of the range, right? And this wave here, wave 4 target, would have been pretty good. And we'll talk about that type of stuff more later too. But anyway, so A, B, C, right? And so once that was done, right, we didn't have to just go short here. We could have waited for confirmation, and that was this area here of support, right? So as soon as this wave B broke, right, don't necessarily want to short there. You could have made some money going short here, right? But sometimes it's going to give you what do we do, right? If wave 2 is done, it's going to give you 5 waves down, right? Is the next move, right? So that's wave 2. We want to go into wave 3. This is where you wanted to make most of your money, in this wave right here, right? In wave 3. So we knew a potential wave 2 is done here after an ABC correction, right? We had an impulsive wave down, right, which took out those levels, right? And lo and behold, look at this. It corrected itself after a wave down. So 1, 2, right? 3, 4, 5, right? So we found a 5th wave down right here. What happens after 5 waves down? It corrects, right? And it also just happened to correct, right, where? At this pitchfork bottom, right? So you can start seeing these waves everywhere. We want to trade the things that we want to trade most are impulse waves, right? And ideally somewhere in wave 3, because wave 3s are going to be your longest wave. This itself was a long wave, right? So it very well could have been a wave 3. I personally think if this market gets really weak, if the trade deals don't go through, whatever the government stays shut down, North Korea gets real cranky, and China decides to, who knows, right? I mean, then this might only have been a wave 1 of this wave 3, right? To give you an extended wave 3 down, right? And so extensions can occur in any one of the impulse waves or any one of the motive waves, right? So just not in a corrective wave. So your extension, unless it's like we'll talk about it later, but you can have 5 waves in a corrective wave, but not in the main direction of the trend, right? So anyway, as it comes back down, right, so this could be a wave 1, which has 5 waves, right? And this could be working on wave 2, right? And then so this really could be 1, 2, and then push back down again even farther. So we don't know yet until it gives us more information, right? And so even if that is the case, right, it still could take out this low here, come up a little bit higher, and then push down even further. So we knew this wave was good, right, because it was starting the impulse wave. This one, we're not so sure about going long. We're not so sure about going short. That's why we just have to continue observing, continue labeling until we get more clarity of where we're at. And then we use our other technical analysis to find out, what type of support and resistance we're going into. But either way, once this corrective wave is done, it either is done, right? And we go back to the very, very long-term trend to the upside, or we are in the midst of creating a new long-term trend to the downside. So we have to see here. It is a very difficult territory, but we have resistance points, we have technical levels to look at, and we have Fibonacci's to look at as well. So hopefully that's kind of gives some clarity there to that. So I want to talk about 2 more rules before we kind of conclude today's introductory session on Elliott Wave. So we talked about already 5 wave structures, right? Where did I put that? Let me go to the longer time frames here. Where did I put those waves? Did I do them on SPX? Anyway, so we talked about the 5-wave structure up, and then we talked about 3-wave corrective structures, right? So, and the essence and the definition of waves, right? So that being said, I just wanted to talk about a couple more rules. So the second rule, there's 3 main rules, right? So the first one we talked about is wave 3. The second one is that wave 2 can never fully retrace wave 1. What does that mean? So what that means is if this is wave 1, right? If that's wave 1, wave 2 cannot go past wave 1. All right, if you see that and you're labeling that wave 2, it's wrong, right? What is happening here is that you're probably in some other wave, right? So this is not wave 2. Not wave 2, okay? What probably is happening is that it's an expanded flat, and we'll talk about those more later, but it's probably an A, B, and then you'll see like a C up here. But wave 2 is not allowed to go past wave 1, okay? So when you guys are labeling, when you guys are practicing labeling in the future, and you're like, okay, that's wave 1, all right, wave 2 just went just a little bit past wave no, if it goes past the origin of wave 1, you are wrong, right? So that is a rule breaker, okay? There's only a couple major rules with Elliott Wave, and that's one of them, right? There's a lot of guidelines, right? There's a lot of guidelines which can help us determine where we're at, but they're not necessarily etched in stone. These ones are etched in stone. You can't. Wave 3 can never be the shortest. Wave 2 can never retrace more than 100% of wave 1. Okay, and then the last rule. There's only 3 rules. The last rule is that wave 4 can never overlap the end of wave 1. Okay, and so what that would look like is this. Let's go up here. Okay, so if we have wave 1, wave 2, we'll put it right there. Didn't overlap it, right? It got close, but it didn't overlap it. Okay, wave 3 is not going to be the short wave, so we'll make it longer, right? Okay, wave 4 has to stay above that line right there. It has to stay above that line right there. If it goes here, it's wrong. Okay? If it goes here, it's definitely wrong, right? If it goes here by a penny, it's wrong, right? If it goes here, you're good, right? And then wave 5 as long as it's, well, right now, wave 3, now it's fine. Wave 5 can go anywhere it wants to. It could be an expanded wave. It could go up forever, right? As long as wave 3 isn't the shortest, okay? One thing, too, I want to let you know about real quick is that wave 5 can be truncated. Wave 5 does not have to go past wave 3. It can end right here. Okay, so if you're labeling and you have 1, 2, didn't go past the origin of wave 1, 3, definitely not the shortest wave, right? 4, didn't go past the orthodox end of wave 1, right? And then wave 5, well, it doesn't have to go past wave 3. It can be truncated, okay? It can go past wave 3. It can be expanded. It can be a diagonal, an ending diagonal, all that stuff. But it does not have to end past wave 3, just so you know. It can be truncated. So those are the basic rules, right? So we've kind of already seen. And then we talked about the motive phase, the corrective phase. We talked about impulse waves and corrective waves too. So we'll talk more about each one in a little more detail tomorrow, this week. So tomorrow we'll get more into some of the nitty-gritty of impulse waves. Wednesday we'll talk more about corrective waves, the different types. Right? These can be flats, they can be zigzags, and they can be complex corrections. And they can also be triangles, right? Wave 2 cannot be a triangle, although it could be part of wave 2 as long as it's a B, okay? Or wave 4 can be a triangle too, okay? So these are kind of guidelines or rules, essentially, like sub-rules like along the way. But I think that kind of covers kind of introductory, the basics there. And I just kind of want to show you real quick, CVX is a double inside day. It was brought to me by G. Shaw, by Gary. I wanted to kind of, I was trying to label this. It's very and here's the deal. Here's one thing I want to tell you is that if you're looking at something, you're trying to label it, and it's too hard, just don't worry about it. Move on to something else, right? You should be able to find, say Roku, right? Remember we had that double inside day the other day that gave us a nice pop, right? You should be able to tell right away that it looks like a wave, okay? If it's all jacked up like in here, right? I mean, don't even mess with it, right? You don't have to, just know there's plenty of other charts out there that are going to give you a better wave structure to deal with. So Roku had a double inside day and gave us a nice 5-wave structure to the downside, right? So 1, 2, 3. Remember we talked about this a lot, where you have like a power gap somewhere. Chances are that's part of a wave 3. So 1, 2, or if a subwave 3, it could be a subwave 3 too. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So we were able to count 5 waves, right? So we would assume a correction, right? Here, right, there's a B triangle, right? Double inside day, right? We gapped down that day. Remember we shot up like several points, right, on that one. So it makes sense, right? So we had 5 waves down. We knew a corrective structure was happening. We saw a first pivot here at A, gave us a double inside day, gap down, and then powered through it to get us to C. So now we could very well have an ABC structure here. We need to watch it, see what it puts in. On Monday, Tuesday, maybe this is forming like a 3-3-5, like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, or 5, right? So it could give us, a different type of corrective structure up here. But if you see something crazy like CVX and you don't know how to label it, just don't worry about it. Deal with something else, right? If it's too complicated, right? There's a couple that I'm, that are on our watch list that I'm going to smaller time frames and getting a little nitty gritty on it. But that just is going to help us get a better entry for the $500,000 to $50,000 challenge. So CVX, I tried labeling this this weekend. It is complicated, but what I did find out is that probably we're in some sort of complex corrective phase right here. It's hard. You can't just do like A, B, C. I mean, right? It gets funky. Then it gives you kind of more of these kind of ABC type stuff. So I was just like, all right, well, if this was a high, this is a relative high. Let me try to label it down, right? So here would be 1, and then ABC 2. Right, and then I was like, okay, well maybe this is 3, but look at this. This is what I want to show you. This automatically gave us a rule breaker right here, right? If this was wave 1, right, ABC 2, if that was a wave 3 ending, what was the rule that was broken here? The rule that was broken is that wave 4, if I was working and trying to make that a wave 3 and this is a wave 4, it's automatically a rule breaker, right? Wave 4 broke into the territory of wave 1, and that breaks the rules, which means this is not an impulsive wave yet, right? As far as we could tell, this is still some sort of corrective phase. But what I did notice is that what we did notice is that it's a double inside day, right? And it's kind of moved up through this range, so chances are it's going to test either the top of this range or the bottom of this range. And what I saw is that this is what, 110, we're at 110, and this goes to about 120, right? So it's a 10-point move there. It's about a 10-point move to the downside. And then the straddles, if we open in the middle of the range, the straddles are about $8. So in whatever time frame it kind of takes to get, so this was from early, this is about a month ago, right? From early December to here, right? So if you kind of go out, 30 days, right? I think the January, or I think that, what did I say? The February's, one of them was, let's just take a look real quick. So the 110s, yeah, these are $5, right? If you buy a straddle, you just take, the asking price of each one. You can obviously put an order in for a different one. You have 2 plus 3, so these are $5, right? So if you think before the end of the month, this thing is going to move more than 5 points. Let's see, this is, if it got there, that's 8 points. If it got here, that's 10 points, right? So you do a monthly, just this month straddle, and if you think it's going to move over $5, you're going to be profitable, right? So if it moved $10, you should at least make, an extra 5 points off of it, right? So if you bought, if even if you just bought one of them at like $5, so $500, and it moves, the next couple days, right? It should be, $10. You should make $5. In this case, on the puts, right? And if that's the case, right, it should outweigh the calls. The calls should be, pretty low. And then at that point, you could even sell your puts, right? And then they would still outweigh where you're at with the calls more than likely. As long as it does, then you can hold your calls. Even if they expire worthless, your net trade on that deal is probably still going to be like $400 or something like that. And then if it does come back up, right, and even if and it gets past it a little bit, right, then you could bank some profits on your calls as well. So that is actually probably the better trade on this double inside day, but we'll still look at it on the double inside day strategy. But those are things that you can do. Where you can, when you figure out where you're at, in your wave count, or if you just don't know for sure, but it's going to make an impulsive move one way or another, that's a good place for a straddle, as long as your IV, your implied volatility is, relatively low, right? So I showed that on these guys here. So CVX, it is, it spiked here, obviously in the last down move, so it's got, it is relatively low. This is over the daily, certainly not as low as it was back here. But it's still it's getting there. Here you can see on the hourly it is decreasing. So if we go to, anyway, it's just a trade idea. I might even do some straddles as you can see how over the last couple of days how the implied volatility has gone down, right? So not a bad place to put on a straddle on the CVX double inside day if you think it's going to move. And then here, if it moves more than 10 points, even in February. These were the 110s were about $9, I guess. So it'd have to move really more than $10 to make sense. So, but yeah, the Januaries don't look too bad. So there could be a potential there. I might even try it out in my personal account. So, but not going to do it. I'm mostly just going to try to do the calls. Calls or puts for the $550,000 challenge, just to make it easy for everybody. So anyway, yeah, so that's it. That's the basics there. So what I kind of want to do is, before we get into chart requests, is see if anybody has any questions about Elliott Wave, just kind of general questions about waves in general, or just something that's been bothering them, and if I can answer it, I'd be happy to. Of course, if there's no questions, if this session was sensible enough, then we'll we'll hit some chart requests and stuff like that. So, but yeah, AC, what's going on? How are you? Prayer Kid, how are you? Good to see you. Just give me a second, as my chat as always has this this lag on it, so I'll click on it and I don't see anything, and then 2 seconds later I have 50 things pop up, so just give it a second. There it goes. What's going on, everybody? All right, let's see. Shirley, how's it going? Good to see you. Jonathan, what's going on? Kyle, how's it going? Good to see you. Harvey, how are you? Good. Jay Kosak, happy Sunday. Delasi, always a pleasure. Vivian, hello. Cat in Space, what's going on? Clayton, welcome back. Welcome back to America. Welcome back to the beautiful Northeast, where it's kind of rainy and chilly. But today wasn't such a bad day. It was the sun was out today. So yeah, not quite 90 degrees and you know, like in Brazil, but it's good to have you back in America. Manoj, what's up? AC views on shutdown. Yeah, so kind of interesting stuff, right? So it doesn't really, it's not really going like it like a lot of the other shutdowns, right? It's kind of taken a while, right? There was a pretty cool article thing in the Wall Street Journal about shutdowns and comparing it to past ones, what the longest ones were, and all that stuff, and what they were about. So yeah, so I don't know. That's a good question. It does keep it. It is kind of a black cloud over the market, right? So we'll see. It depends on kind of what the results are. If they get really kind of nitpicky with each other, and I mean, it could start affecting things, right? So I know when I was back in the day when I was in the military and the government was shut down, we were worried about getting paid, right? So there's a lot of and then after I got out and I was I still do work for essentially do some contracting and things like that. The lack of funding and all that stuff could affect companies, right? So it could affect, could eventually affect, defense companies like Lockheed Martin and stuff like that. Certainly, we could dig in, kind of the stock market, but you're, sort of like service companies that service, parts of the government that are shut down a little bit more. You could see some negative returns and bad earnings and stuff like that, coming up. So it is pretty significant. So we'll see how it affects things long term. Daniel, what's going on? Good to see you. Cat Space. Okay, I've been trading crypto for about a year. Wanting to move into E-mini futures. My roommate recommended NinjaTrader. Do you think it's the best platform? Is there another I recommend? So I don't trade futures, right? So yet I want to. It's just if I do, I'll never sleep. So yeah. Thinkorswim. I mean, TD Ameritrade out here is pretty good. I mean, they've got really great customer support. I called them with a question the other day, and they were all over it, helping out. So they're pretty good. But in terms of funding, you have to be, I don't know, their funding requirements are pretty rough. There is stuff out there, I think, like Nadex and some other ones that are a little bit cheaper to get into. NinjaTrader in general, I heard, is okay, pretty decent. I mean, it seems like they have some good tools out there. I just don't know how stable they are. I can't really say, but obviously I like Thinkorswim is good. And then there's probably some other ones out there. Maybe I think. So yeah, I really can't help too much there. Maybe Tasty Trade. A lot of people recommend Tasty Trade for options, and I think you can do futures with them too. And they got a really good course on there. Let me put. Let me see if I save that. Hold on, give me 1 second. I'll post the link down here. But basically, go to Tasty Trade. Learning. You can click on their futures thing, and I think you can trade futures through their platform. So, I don't know. They seem like a good, pretty reputable company. I've learned a lot from them. I learned a lot about options from all their videos. So, I think you can do futures through them. I don't think they would have dedicated so much courses to. Here, I found the link here. I'll post it. So it's a good futures course down there, but you probably trade futures with them, and they're probably pretty good customer service. I heard their options are really good. Like when I opened my, for the challenge, the 550K challenge, and I said I did it Robinhood, everybody's like, oh, you should do Tasty Trade. But I'm happy with no commissions, and I think it's good. It'll be good for anybody who, is going to try it. So, Merit Forever, what's going on? Ashwin, how are you? What's up? So thanks for doing this. McDonald's, I had to enter on Friday, swing 182. Nice, man. Yeah, I think McDonald's is doing it, man. And it's hard. And the reason I missed, I don't like making excuses, but the reason I missed the it hitting. Oh dear, here we go. Let me click on this. Goodness gracious. If any of you guys who use Thinkorswim and you draw charts, right, and then you try to look at it on your phone, they always look different, on your phone, and sometimes they don't even get close to whatever trend lines you had, and so this is an example, right? So that we were talking about earlier about the 5 waves, right? And then it's going to go corrective, right? So McDonald's put in this great 1, 2, hold on, 3, right? Remember I said 4, only 4 and B can be a triangle, right? It gave it a perfect textbook wave 4 triangle right here, right? And then an impulse wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to get to wave 5. Right, once that impulse wave is complete, you know it's going to correct, right? And so the reason McDonald's is on my watch list, or is on the watch list, right, is because how did it correct? It corrected with a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a 5-wave move down. Well, the only corrective wave that starts with a 5-wave down is a zigzag, right? Which means that it has to have a 5 and then a 3-wave up, right, and then another corrective wave down, a 5-wave down. So and zigzags, right, are normally a little bit steeper, right? So we had this first impulsive wave move down, right? We're looking for the smaller term correction here, a 3-wave up, like A, B, C, which should end in this 180 area, right? And then we'll have the impulsive wave down, right? So if you guys caught this before I did, because I did not see it hit the end of this channel on my phone intraday, it looks pretty good. Like it's going to come up this channel here to get to about 182, 180, 182.50, right? Now I can't make any guarantees there, obviously going into going into the Fed this week, right? But it does look good, like it'll hit up there. And then once we hit this 182, 182.50 level, I plan to short, right? So for the 550K challenge, because it should be good. And WWE, yeah, nice. I mean, WWE's a little crazy to trade, but that could be good for you too. Etsy, and so obviously major top, right? So assume that was done there. So let's look for a wave 2. So let's say, or I'm sorry, a wave down. So this would be 1, maybe ABC, wave 2, wave 3, 4, 5, right? So 5 waves down. Now we're in a corrective phase, right? So A, right, and then now it looks very corrective right here. Maybe B, C. It's tough to tell, right? So this is kind of like a big mess, right? So at this point, I don't want to do anything, right? So because it's hard to count. So I mean, it could be like sort of so A, B, C, right? It may want down further. It's tough, right? And look, it's right in the middle of this kind of air pocket here, this volume air pocket too. So it's really tough to figure out, one way or another way it should go. But it does look like it's bull flagging, so it might get another break to the upside. So just be careful with WWE. Etsy, posted this one earlier. Had some good requests on that today through Twitter. Why did I say Etsy? I think you meant. I assume you meant Etsy. So Etsy, looking pretty good, right? General, it's definitely in an uptrend, right? So even this huge market pullback that we have hasn't really affected the stock very much, which I thought was interesting. So we had a 1, 2, 3. Now, remember I said 4 could be a triangle, so here it looks like it's an expanded triangle, right? So it looks like here, we basically hit here, so A, B, C, D, E. Looks like the triangle is pretty much done here, so I'm assuming this is the end of wave 4, and it looks like it wants higher, right? The only thing I'd watch out for here is that it's going right into pitchfork resistance, right? So it kind of needs to get back up there, and then I would say from here, if it broke out here, say it got over 53, I would definitely look for 10 points there to 63. It looks pretty strong. And then Healy. Helen of Troy Ltd. Cool. I don't think I've ever traded this one before, but I do. It does look like it's put in a major top here, right? So just be careful with this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Finish an impulsive wave here. So just watch. It could go A. It could be an expanded flat. So B, right? So you might hit this level again and then down. Tough to tell, right? It can potentially have a larger impulse wave down, but we just kind of have to watch it here. It's this looks like an A, and so I would just try to figure out where the C is, or the B and the C. So A might go here, B, and then C, and then we're gonna let the shorter time frame kind of look and see what kind of A this was. Maybe 1, 2. So you got to watch out, right? Because if that was part of 1, which it would have to be, unless this is 1, A, B, C, 2. A little challenging here, right? So kind of sloppy, right? So just be careful with this one too. It does look like it could go up a little bit farther. There's some volumetric support here, right? And if it can kind of get through here, you might finish this sort of larger B down and then C back down. So on that one. What's going on AC? So let's see, we got Tesla. So Tesla is another one that's really tough to do wave count on. It's got this just craziness over the last couple of weeks. It's like almost like this. It's almost working on this kind of megaphone formation. I drew this line here and this line here. Really tough, but it helps with the use of the pitchforks on this one. Just because it's been hanging right now, it's hanging around this median line, kind of coming down. So let's just look at the bigger time frame and see what it's looking like on our candlesticks. So inside month, obviously, still low into the range, but it is working its way up. Right, the weekly, you had a nice green hammer the week before, and now we have a red hammer right coming back in. So, still some concerns there. Right, nice 180-degree day here the day, and it's kind of banging into its 5, 10 MAs. Let me remove this. I don't need that right now. That was an old orb bar, I think. Okay, so anyway, so larger term pitchfork, it's coming right into medium resistance. So just watch and see if it pivots here. If it does, then you might be looking at some more downside. If it can break through it, right, and consolidate for a couple days, it might try to push itself up again, to this area. So that's kind of Tesla. Nvidia. As you guys know, I post the FANG stocks every night, so including Nvidia. But Nvidia's been interesting. It hasn't quite gone with the whole trend of the rest of the FANGs in terms of its recovery. It's still pretty weak on the the monthly and in general. But here, if we look at kind of where it is Elliott Wave wise, we had a wave 1 down, right? 2 was pretty sensible, right? And then possible wave 3 here, and it makes sense. Even though wave 1 was really long, wave 3 was likely not the shorter wave, as long as wave 5 is the shortest wave. Sorry, as long as wave 5 doesn't go, as long as wave 5 is shorter than wave 3. So that would be an example here. So really tough to see how this corrective pattern is. It looked like it was done at wave 4 here, at this possible triangle, and now it's kind of maybe wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but at which point it would be longer than wave 3, and so the count's a little jacked up, right? But all I do know is it is recovering a little bit, and it's coming right into this reaction line, but it is pivoting at this median line, which leads me to think that it would still want a little bit lower here on the to possibly finish a wave 5. But we just have to see how long it is. So here's wave 3, just to make sure it's shorter than that. So if this were wave 3, duplicate trend line. So here, so if this were wave 4, wave 5 could still be less than here. We have to get down to 60, right, to be longer than wave 3. So I think this could play sensibly. So if here it has this reaction line, it could slowly, possibly take this down to the 100 level, and then be done with this impulsive wave down. So, and then we'll see, right? And then it kind of comes back into earnings, and we'll take a look at it. But I do think it could get to 100, right? If it doesn't break through this this median line. If it does break through this median line, then it could be seeing back up again, right? But if it keeps pivoting here, like it's been hanging really pretty much below this median line for a while, then I think it probably wants lower, right? Just not as strong as its counterparts. Although it had a good day on Friday. Let's see, BRZU. Oh yeah, we've been looking at this one. So, nice bull flag here the other day. Broke out of it. Looks like it's kind of mini bull flagging right here. Broader picture. It's it's working its way essentially up this this pitchfork, right? So, nice pivot here out of a bull flag. So it looks like it could get higher. Just give it possibly wave 1, might pull back wave 2, and then give you a nice wave 3. 4 or 5, and then it'll just have to deal with this this resistance line. But it does look like it can get up to that 50 area. Netflix and Amazon, of course, I post all the macro stuff on Twitter, but we'll just take a look at here where we're at. So Netflix is interesting, right? This was actually pretty tough to do wave-wise too, because of this little day right here. It kind of made it all funky, but just assume here from kind of this high, this was a wave 1 down, very potentially. This could have been some sort of crazy wave 2, right? And maybe this was a wave 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and maybe wave 3 is done, and now it's correcting itself here. So it's tough to tell. It's A lot of people are getting really bullish on Netflix. You know, we were tracking this all through this triangle underneath the pitchfork, and now we're back into this bigger pitchfork area right here. But it's between support and resistance of 2 pitchfork levels, right? So right now, my guess is after these huge days that it's had, is it probably wants to come down a little bit, and I'll show you this last impulse wave here. So I labeled this earlier. So here, if this is a wave 5 down, which I think it was, right? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, and this pretty much, unless it's a really super expanded wave 5 and just keeps going, it looks like it's ready to correct. Okay, and so let me remove these Fibonacci's here. Okay, so if wave 5 is really complete, then like sort of this is the inverse of what McDonald's looked like, right? So if this is 5 waves up, this is the beginning of a zigzag. So now it's going to ABC back down. So ABC, just say for instance, like back here to 274. It makes sense, right? Because we're at resistance, right? I mean, it could stay ABC within this kind of range, and then it, you know, 5, 3, 5. You know, it's, to me, overall broad term, you know, long term. You know, let's just say it zigzags here for, you know, a couple days, right? You know, sometime this week. I mean, it looks like it might push up a little bit higher and at least test this median line of the larger pitchfork, right? And that would be, let's say 1, 2, 3. You know, kind of this area, and then it kind of 5 waves up here, right? That would be conveniently about 350 right before earnings, right? So are they pushing this thing up? You know, I mean, you know, behind the scenes, are they pushing this up so they can dump it again at earnings? You know, or is this really just a huge earnings run and it's going to gap up after? We don't know. But all we know is that this 5 waves up here, right? So my guess is that it's ready to correct ABC back down, and then we'll get another impulsive wave up. So let's keep an eye on Netflix for ABC down, and then we'll look to trade it 5 waves up. So let's say ABC's down back to this support area here at 250. I think we could probably ride it up to 350. So that'd be a huge move on Netflix too. So if we do that, that would be awesome for the challenge, right? Now just keep in mind, as the closer we get to earnings, the higher premiums are going to get, right? So we have to be right. And that's in a couple weeks, right? It's on the what, the 17th? Yeah, 17th. So that should be interesting. And then Amazon. Amazon's been a little bit funky too. It hasn't quite been behaving the same way as the Qs, as the overall market. It's kind of been trading independently, but it's kind of a world of its own anyway. It's kind of working its way back up this reaction line here. I didn't really get into too much. I mean, you can see I'm trying some nitty gritty here. It looks like it could have done like I was looking at 5, 3, maybe 5. Looks like it's already zigzagged up, right? So if that is the correction, maybe it's starting a whole new kind of trend all the way to the upside. And there's a big volume gap kind of in this area here all the way up to where this old trigger line was, to 1680. So, you know, it could keep working its way back up here and then come back down. I need to spend some more time with this one and you know, kind of figure out what's doing. Really, we need to just watch it. I don't have anything definitive for you on Amazon, except that you can see it's kind of getting through a lot of volumetric resistance, and it looks like it could push higher, right? So just have to, you know, keep an eye on it. But I don't have any actionable entries for you on this one. Just sort of one we have to watch. But we can still stick with our, you know, our candlesticks and just kind of see what kind of time frames we have. So, you know, it gave a big spinning top last week or 2 weeks ago, and another one, a smaller one this week. You know, this is going to come in, you know, this coming week. We'll have to watch, right? We'll have to see. I mean, Fed Day is going to say a lot for this thing. So it did golden cross here on the 5MA up, right? And this one, this is where we did learn about the doji day on oversold days. So that was a nice move up from there too. So, and we did have this this narrow range day here, and then we had a, you know, kind of a big push on these past couple days, and then it's up like what, like 100 points or something from here. So it was 1507 all the way to 1580, 80-point move in 1, 2, 3 days. So so pretty interesting there. Let's see. Have you ever done a $500 challenge before? And if so, how much were you able to go? Nope, this is the first one ever. So just started doing. I was actually, you know, I've been doing the videos for a few months now, and you know, one of our friends in the videos had recommended I do it, and I was, you know, I had to pray on it and all that stuff, and I was like, yeah, this is gonna be a good idea. So this is the first time doing it, so I'm just trying to do it right. So anybody who's kind of following along and learning along, knows that we're working on getting the best entries for it, and we're working to really do it. So, oh yeah, how to label it, Ashwin? Yeah, so we'll do more of those. We'll do more of those later. I just, just as a little bit, for time, I was gonna go to bed and all that stuff. We'll do more later. But as we go along, we'll just keep on working through and doing labels. So, what's the name of the book again? Okay, so the book is called Elliott Wave Principle. What's going on, Jason? Yeah, by Frost and Prechter. So, so you can find that. I'll post a link to it. Oh, there it is right there. I've been trying, for some reason, Amazon hasn't been I'm going to post a real funky link on it. It hasn't been giving me like the short links on it for some reason. I click on share, and I used to be able to do like a short link on it, like for posting, but it doesn't do that anymore. I don't know what's going on with it. But here's a link to the Frost and Prechter book. It's the encyclopedia. I keep it on my desk. It's awesome. Yeah, K-Pack is awesome. So Jay Kosak, yeah, he's great. Thoughts on PCG? They're thinking of bankruptcy, and it may be a good short on Monday. Yeah, I mean we could put on the 15 orb list. I got a couple DMs on that too. PCG is just it's a utility, and even if they declare bankruptcy, it might still be okay. Like it's really tough to just hold short. I mean, it's getting beat up so much, right? I mean, it could surprise you, right? I mean, it did have a few big down days. We had it on our 15 orb list too. It's just tough. How cheap it is. It's tough to really make money on it, even to the short side. And even with all the bankruptcy news. Excuse me. Sorry. Hopefully I can go into the microphone. Even with all the bankruptcy news. It's and like they're being accused of like murder from like the state of California. So even with all that news, it's still kind of hanging in there a little bit. Like I mean, but you can still watch it. It's just so cheap and tough to trade. So, but I would watch the 15 orb tomorrow just to see if there's any downside on it. But just those utilities are a little bit tough. What's going on, Samir? How are you? Jay Kosak, does longest wave mean longest in time or height? It means longest in height, not time. It can take forever. As long as it gets longer in terms of like its height. Good question. Cat in Space, Wave 3 often. Oh, sorry. Wave 3 often the longest, never the shortest. This is true, exactly. Thoughts on Jason? Thoughts on SJM and CAG? SJM. Thoughts on SGM is tough to trade too. I mean, it does give good waves and all that stuff. But if you kind of zoom into it, the days get really. It's just annoying to trade. You get these big wicks on it, and the body ranges are just kind of tight, and it doesn't move the way you want it to. It's like here you think it's going to break out, and it kind of does, but then comes back in, breaks down, kind of comes back in, breaks down, comes back in, breaks up, comes back in. It's just. In terms of the real body movement, it doesn't really move that much, So, but it does look like it's getting constructive right here. You're about to have a golden cross here on the daily, right? So there's potential here. There's looks like there's probably some volumetric. It's got some airspace above it, which is good. Weekly, inside week, good point there. And it's still inside month, obviously. So it could get a little push here. It looks like if it gets over this level, it might get a push over 96, 97. And then in general, let's see, wave-wise, what's it doing? So a little funky. So like 1, 2, maybe 3. That can't be 4, right? Because it would overlap wave 1. So this gets a little bit more funky. So I mean, this could be wave 1 down, like 1, 2. That overlap it. Yeah, so this could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This could have been wave 5 down. This could be the corrective phase. A, B, C, or even A, B, C. It looks like it's trying to work its way lower, for the most part. A, B, unless it's some sort of goofy expanded flat. Right, if this were like the A somehow. B, it might try to get up there. Just SJM is just tough to trade. And CAG, let's take a look at that. Probably with SJM, probably generally overall, probably bearish on it. Let's see, CAG. What is CAG? Why do I get no charts on this thing? Do I have the right thing? My internet's done, or the stock? I think this is a chart. I don't know. I'm not getting any data on this. I'm not getting any data on anything. Hold on. Okay, that's coming through. So what's CAG? Oh, Conagra Brands. Okay, cool. So you're following some of these kind of food type, staple type stocks. So it had, big push down on the monthly inside right now. Weekly, you had a hammer last week, right? It's kind of spinning top right last week on the 2 weeks ago hammer. Huge move down through earnings. Gosh, it gap down on, looks like good earnings. They must have had bad guidance or something like that. So it looks like it's probably going to try to work its way up at some point here. Gosh, it's kind of flatlining there, isn't it? Why is this like this? Hold on, sorry guys. Yeah, it's like a huge puke recently, and then it is just, this could have been like some crazy complex flat right here too. That could have been wave 3 down, so it might be working on a wave 4 corrective wave back up right now. So looks pretty interesting. Really got beat up though there. Let's see. Okay, so Daniel, so how come you're counting the SPX in an impulsive wave and not a corrective wave, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 instead of ABC? Which one, Daniel? So we've got SPX, and it could be, right? So so right now, I mean, we're in a corrective wave, right? So just remember, I think I know what you're saying. Right, so you had wave 1, ABC, that's corrective wave 2, right? Wave 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down, right? So why am I counting this one here? So this is the corrective phase, right? If this is either wave little 3 or big 3, right? Wave 4 would be corrective, right? So that'd be ABC, right? So I thought I had this label the other day. I thought that would be the end of it, but it's still going. So it could go all the way up here. So it could be ABC, so it could be 3, 3, 5, ABC, right? ABC, so 3, 3, and then might do another impulse wave up, like to this area here, right? So impulse waves can occur in corrective waves, right? But they're just subwaves. They're part of a larger ABC, if that makes sense. And we'll talk about more when we get to it later the next week. So how do you determine as long as yeah, great question, Jay Kosa. Yeah, so length. So the length, height. Not length, height. Right, so time would be length, right? So height, so how high the price goes. Which videos do you recommend? Yeah, so I put Frost and Pressure down there. Steve Sinclair does a good one on Amazon as well. You can, if you have Amazon Unlimited, you can read it free. So he's got a real great overview on it. Websites or videos. The videos are all kind of tough to understand out there. I mean, Elliott Wave Forecast does some pretty good videos, but it's fast, and but you can go through those. Elliott Wave International is the guys, Prector started that company, so they've got lots of stuff on there, but it's a pay-for site, so that's up to you guys. Oh, thanks, WM. Appreciate that. Yeah, appreciate that. Jimmy, what's going on? Yeah, everything's good. Bargab, great lesson. Hey, thanks, man. Lesson 1. So tomorrow we'll talk more about impulsive waves. Rookie with 1, 2, 3. What's going on? Thanks for listening. Excited for. I know I'm excited for it too, but I don't want to go. Yeah, 550K. I wish I had one already, but we've got plenty of time, right? So we're just waiting for the trades to come to us. So there's a couple really good ones. FedEx is actually looking really good, but honestly, guys, I want to get through Fed Day this week. I don't want to put anybody, following on a trade and the market just completely reverses. That would not be cool. So I want our trades to be great. Awesome, Jeff. That's good. Cool. Yeah, we'll keep going over it. And then I talk about it every night in the video too, so the more you read it, the more stuff I say will make sense. So thanks, Jesse. Cat space, no problem. My pleasure. Jacosy. Not Elliott related, but could you explain your 60 bar trading? Is it similar to the 1530 orb? No, it's different. It's similar but different, right? It's just trading off of bars, right? So the 15 orb, you guys know. What is that? Why is it doing that? Here, why? It's just being funky tonight. I don't know what's going on here. I'm not gonna hit restore, but why would it be shrunk like that? That's fine. So yeah, so when you go to the 60 time frame, right? So you guys will see me, post anchor ideas, right, that to trade off of. And if you go through some of my old videos, especially my live trading ones, and I plan on trading live this Friday too, as long as I don't have to go in to the office this week. But I plan on trading live at the open, so you'll kind of see. But if you go, SPX doesn't trade so well with it, but let's just say like Apple. So I basically trade off of the last bar of the day for the next day, right? So, and use it as a reference point. So just like I would normally trade the 60s. So, just like here, this is an example. So this day here on the 21st of December, right? We ended with a spinning top below the VWAP, and so that's your reference point, right, for trading the open the next day. So your low here was 149.63, and so we opened here kind of a little bit like in the range, right? The open was 148.15, right? I tried to the upside a little bit, but then failed, right? So I would have traded a break there to the downside, so a short there at 149.63, which would have gone down to 147, so a 2-point move there. So you guys, have caught me on Friday, so I trade that live a lot. I do Facebook a lot at the open. Usually give some good setups and cheaper options to trade, and it trades really well. So here was a good one I think we did the other day live over vacation. This bar here. So we traded this 60. The end of the day, right? We started pushing up, everything's going great, and then when it came back in, I think we shorted it into that range. And then ended up going all the way from 134 down to 130. So a nice 4-point move off of that 60 bar, off of that anchor bar. So it just gives you a point of reference for trading the open instead of, trading blindly, right? So, you just have to just kind of develop it a little bit. It's a little bit of an art, trading up. But it's just like trading anything, right? So trading any other 60-minute bar. This just gives us more continuation. What I like about the open is that you get a lot more volume and more volatility, so your moves are actually more pronounced off of the prior bar. So the only hard part is if you gap way over it, right? So here, this day here, right, we gapped up and never came back, so it's really tough to trade that one. There's nothing really you can do, right, except for the 15 orb maybe. So on that one, the 15 orb on Friday was here, right? This would have been tough to trade, but once it finally worked, it was 135 up to 137, so 2 points there off of the orb. So we'll do more about it. I should be live on Friday, so you guys check it out. Let's see. What's going on, Truncated? You can also try Tradeovate for futures. Okay, cool, yeah. Yeah, best customer service in biz is Tasty. Yeah, they're nice, man. Yeah, TradeStation. Yeah, TradeStation's cool. Yeah, no, it really did. I mean, it messed up a lot of stuff, right? Because it was, Starbucks gave us a really good entry the other day. I wasn't ready to take it because I didn't want to hold anything through Friday, but when it touched a couple days ago, I don't know why I need to figure out how to expand that later. But when it touched 61.50, this was a good entry, and I almost went long in it if we weren't going right into Fed speak the next day, because it could have gone way down, right? But that was a good entry at 61.50. But I'm still looking at Starbucks for a pullback to 62.50 for a long, and I'm kind of hoping tomorrow, let's see, we're gapping up. I'm kind of hoping it chops around, and then then we'll get some idea from Powell speak. Maybe it won't be too bad, and we'll get another entry on this one. So let's see. Yeah, exactly. So that is annoying. It's like, well, really, why? I mean, it's based on price and time. Like, can't you guys draw, right? But it really makes it annoying on the phone. Uptrade chart on Nike. Yeah, definitely. So Nike, this is where it's going. Nike's actually doing really good for us in terms of setting up. In general, right? Huge potential wave 5 top up here. I mean, definitely a definitive top, right? So wherever wave 1 and 2 was, this was some sort of expanded wave 3, right? 4 down, and then wave 5 up, and then so now we're in this corrective phase, and so where's the chart? Here it is. Okay, so we're in this corrective phase down from the 86 high, right? So to me, it looks like this was a wave 1 down, impulse wave down, like 1, 2, 3, right? So you notice that it didn't go over the high of wave 1, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 5 waves down to get you wave 1, right? Then you have A, B, C, right? Pretty obvious, right? A, B, C. So wave 2, just like the general market. And then here it looks like it pushed down to wave 1, right? So 1, 2, let's say 3, 4, 5, right? So it gave you a push down here to wave 1. And now we're in a corrective phase up, which we just have to see how this finishes, right? So A, B, C, A, B, C, so it's a 3, 3, 5, so it's a flat. So really it has to give us an entry soon, at which point we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we have to see where this ends, right? It really just needs to finish quickly, pretty quickly. And 75 would be a great entry for it to start coming back down, but otherwise I just don't want it to get real nasty and complicated right here. But right now it's given us, if it gives us basically one more push up, can't go much higher than this, right? So this is Fibonacci levels from this wave here. It's right now at the 61.8% retracement, and it's right over this pitchfork. So I like it here, but again, I don't want to trade anything through the Fed. But it might give you one more push up, for wave 5 up and then down, right? So that would be your corrective wave done, and then an impulsive wave 3 down, which would be great on that one. Microsoft, yeah, let's take a look. Microsoft is we were looking at that the other day. I'm just going to go to right here to the pitchfork. We saw it came down, tagged the median line, right? It was chopping around this support line, finally gave you a nice breakout on Friday. This would have been a good trade on Friday if you caught that. It was a little bit challenging, but it was tradable. So right now, kind of a bull flag, potential working on. It's over this kind of support area, so if the market's super strong, it could start moving its way back up to this kind of trigger line area and retest these pivots here at 106 and maybe over 110, right? So looks like it's got some volumetric resistance here at 107. So right now, as long as it holds above here, it might pull back to 98 again, and as long as it stays over this, as long as this resistance is now support, it should be good. Sergey, for Elliott Wave, does it work as well on shorter time frames? Yes, it works on every time frame. So that's a great question, and I meant to kind of address it in the introduction. Shirley, thank you, by the way, for listening all at one time. Yeah, so it's fractal, right? So you can go to any level and find where they are fractal-wise, right? So every larger wave is made up of smaller waves. So it's really pretty cool, right? There's a, when you're trading bigger time frames, right, you'll see, like, I go to the monthly, candlesticks to see where we're at relative to the other candlesticks, right, because you get bigger moves off of that. It's the same thing with the bigger time frames too, right? So here's your monthly time frame, right? Everything is, has been pretty impulsive up, and it's finally, Microsoft, let's say it's kind of pulling back a little bit, right? So it may have just been done with a wave, let's just say, 1, A, B, C, 2, right? Maybe this is a big wave 3, maybe 4 or 5. Maybe it's working on A, B, C on the monthly time frame. But we can use those for guidance to look at where we're going shorter time frame, right? But you can always just keep zooming in and zooming in, but you can even do it till you get down to the tick level, and then that's just how it helps. So if I know, so for instance, like on like McDonald's, larger time frame, you go to the daily, you can see, like, we've finished the 4 and wave 5 up, and we're correcting here. Well, now I want to see what are the guts of that correction, right? So the first wave, right, that I saw, and you can look at it on any time frame and just kind of see, it was an impulsive wave down, a 5 wave down, right, which would imply zigzag. So you have 5, and then we should have 3, so A, B, C. So a 5 wave correction here, and then should have a bigger correction to the downside for the for this zigzag. you can go as far down as you want, right? I mean, eventually it just gets ridiculous, but you'll get inundated. You'll start living like, okay, there's a little baby B and baby C, right? You don't have to worry about that. But as long as you know, in general, picture where you're at, you can zoom into the smaller time frames to see fractally how it's setting up the waves that are building. So yeah, so you can do those on those time frames. All right, sure, let's do it. All right, so BCRX. All right, a lot of these we've already started. So it did put in a pivot here. You had a good run up here, so it's putting in a pivot right here at the top of the pitchfork. So just be careful that it doesn't come back down. First test this sort of median area here, right? Activate. Maybe there. But there. So just, might come back here to the median line and then come back up, right? So see how it's been kind of holding this sort of level right here. But it did pivot here, so watch out for a little downside movement and then maybe some more back up. BHP. Do we not do this one yet? All right, BHP. Obviously, it was going through this channel for a long time. Gap down, gap up, gap down, gap up. Let's see how it's looking. Why is this doing this? All right, so I gave you a hammer week 2 weeks ago. Spinning top month. Sorry, spinning top month there. Weekly. I do not understand why this is not expanding. I'm gonna have to reset it later. So I can't really show it too well, but it looks like it gave you a good hammer week that week. Nice push through your 200-day moving average, right? So just watch out for this 50 level for some resistance there. Yep, huge day there, kind of drooped down at the end. And then, let's see, big month. This could have been like a ABC correction, might be coming back up again, but it's kind of choppy. And then, like we see here, it's just kind of moving through this kind of volume channel right here. But so it needs to break out over that 50-51 level, to get your try to tag that 73 again on BHP. And but yeah, so generally, well, I mean, it's made some pretty big moves since 18. Just sort of like a smooth operator, right? It's kind of up, so just keep an eye on it. There, QQQ, great one. Lots of lines. But in general, QQQ, very similar to the SPX, right? Wave 1 down, sort of ABC, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So for wave 3 down potentially, and it's kind of working. It's a little bit stronger than the SPX was, so it's kind of putting in a bull flag here over several, sort of in a range as well. So potential bull flag there, working on it. So yeah, so we have to see how the market just reacts to Fed this week. It should be pretty wild. Let's see, CHGG, Chegg, how's that going for you? Nice. Got back over this volume level here. Got through this reaction line. Nice bull flag, forming here. So just see how it handles this level. See if we can get you a little bit higher. But nice off of these two levels here, right? And then let's see if we can get you up to that 32 level soon. Otherwise, it'll ride this reaction line back down, right to 26. So just make sure it holds there and gets you some more breaks. But it is holding this volumetric level here too really well. So so you might get a little push, and it would fill that gap too if you could get up to this pitchfork median line. So so that would be good. CCJ. Interesting. Working its way up. It's got some volume air pocket above it, so more consolidation here. A little push to the upside could be good. I would go through all the monthly time frames, but my charts are a little bit messed up here. But it does look pretty bullish here. Hard to get a wave count on it, but on this hourly, but it does look. Does look like it's finally trying. So, CN. CN is pharma, right? Oh no, network. Sorry. I don't know why I was thinking this pharma company. It looks like it's working its way up a channel here, so I'll do a pitchfork on it here. Right. So, pivoted here, came back in through here. See if it breaks out over 35, 50 to try to take out that 36.50 again. Otherwise, if it pivots here, you're looking back down to 32. But in general, yeah, everything looks kind of choppy. But it looks like it's overall working its way up. CZZ. Yeah, we charted this the other day. 5-wave down. A, B. What do we do here? A, B, C. I don't know what I was doing. A, B, C. Oh, I was saying maybe A, B, C. 2, 4, 5. It looks like it's still working its way up there, right? So it's gotten the distance that we thought, right? So looked like it was a zigzag up. So A, B, right? It looks like it's still working its way up, like we were saying. It's hit almost that length level that we were originally saying, the 985. So it gave you that nice push there. So just, if you're in this, just move your stops up and see if it can get you all the way up to the pitchfork top or median. Inva. Gosh, it doesn't, when you look at this, it doesn't look like it moved very much, but all the way from $6, so no wonder you like trading these things. Yeah, 636 all the way up. Yeah, just kind of that median level, but I mean, it looks like if it holds that 1750 area, you could get some more push to the upside. You got some nice pivots here to look at, 20 and 21, so it could go there. Clear air up there, looks pretty possible. That was Inva, GME. Old GameStop. Yeah, I used to try to trade this one a while ago. But let's see. I drawn some was working on some fan techniques and all that stuff. So just using my old drawings, it looks like it's come down, come up, kind of come down, pivoted up. Let me just remove a couple of these. Just watch out to see if it pivots here, whatever it's doing. That's a kind of long-term time frame. See what it's doing. Gosh, nasty. Phew, that's a nasty chart, isn't it? Well, either way, it's trying to do something. So it got through here. The further it can go, right? Take out these pivots. Look at all these air pockets you've got here. So you've got a nice potential push up to like 18, 1850. Then if we get through there, 20, right? And if we get through there, 24. So the question is its impulsive move, kind of done? But we'll see. As long as it stays over $10, right? It could stay potential. Let's see. Did it really get all the way up? When did I trade this thing? A long time ago. Interesting. IBM. Yes. Very nice. I hope you caught this, where it pivoted here, came back up. Now it's kind of holding on to that resistance level off of that pitchfork. But as long as it stays above it, right? It could get to your that 1129 level, and then who knows from there at 12. So, but yeah, I like how it's pivoted, it came back up. So, and it's not pivoting right now, so it's above the pitchfork. So see if it stays above that, and just kind of can ride it up to that 1130 level. So appreciate that, Shay. Thanks for putting everything online. That makes it just a little bit easier, because the way like I said earlier, I get some delays in scrolling down, and I look at it like, oh, I got like 20 more to do, but at least kind of helps me focus. Kyle, what's going on? Yeah, KO. A friend of mine said it was trading. He does more fundamental stuff. He said it was trading at high, price to earnings ratio. But yeah, we looked at this the other day, so we did a pitchfork on it. Kind of worked its way up. It's kind of went through the median line. Nice pop, right? tested this level. Now it's testing this median level. So see if it wants to test that level again, from this 46 area to 47 area back to 49. It does look like in general it's been working its way up pretty well. In time, this is the monthly, 1, 2, sort of like a expanded 3 type situation to the upside, maybe 3 and ABC, but looks like it's working. I'm not sure it's done yet, to the upside. So I mean, Coke is a big company, right? So it could easily work its way back up to that 50 range, and then see if it gets any further over that. But in general, I mean, I'm having a little trouble with my charts here, but inside month so far after a big red month, but inside week last week. So we'll look at trading yesterday's high if it breaks to the upside, and then Friday's high. And nice push here. You want to get over this 50-day moving average, right? But it might test the 20 at 48. If we get over that, you got 48.50, and then it could come back up again to that 49.50 level. Coke is tough to trade. It usually trades in small ranges, So, but a couple of them have been pretty big recently. But before that, it was just like choppity, chip, chop, right? So just be careful with Coke. Corrected Microsoft, yeah, we just looked at that. Hopefully that was good. AC, thanks, no problem. Jesse, sweet. PBR for Jimmy, yep. And then let's see, it's 11 o'clock, so probably gotta go to bed here soon. Yeah, so it had a nice kind of double bottom there, right? Kind of cup and handle. This one is gonna be tough. It gave you a good push up here, but really you want to see how well it could break out again over that kind of that 1650 level. But weekly, had a good week last week, big green month. Let's just look in here, see what we can see on the hourly. Couple nice pivots here, so yeah, it just might kind of work its way up. Just be careful around this 1550 level. Look for a pivot there. It might kind of come back in a little bit before breaking through, but if it does break out above that 16 level, then it should push higher. So it looks pretty interesting. Where am I at? Yep, PBR for what stock? That brand. Okay, cool. Take that off. All right, you got your link there to the book. Thought on FRGI. Hey, Suze, what's going on, man? Fiesta Restaurant Group. Let's see. Oh, thoughts are 1 ABC, 2. Maybe 1 here. Sorry. C/2. This could have been a wave 3 here. So it is, kind of correcting at this point. So the question is, how much is it going to do? Is it going to be A, B, C, or is it going to? It's sort of in a corrective phase right now. So I just kind of keep an eye on this one, see how it handles this corrective phase. It's tough to trade right here, right? Because we don't know, what type of correction we're looking at. But this kind of gives you sort of a little reference area. So it could go, A, B, C, kind of this area here, but it just needs time, But obviously, all in all, not looking good. If this is wave 3, all you're doing is looking for a wave 4. It might go all the way up to. See how it handles. We'll talk about Fibonacci's on I think Wednesday. Here, see how it handles. See, that's like kind of a perfect kind of short-term target for it. This 23.6 for the wave 4 finish, and then there probably back down further to get you a wave 5. But it probably is going to chop in this range for a little bit. Won't pay PCG short with the fires, previous hard. Yeah, exactly. Dark horse. Yeah, no problem, man. Brandon, hey guys, first time joining the live stream. Thanks for your knowledge. Hey, my pleasure, man. Your thoughts on Tilray's 70 million shares unlock coming? Oh, is that what's going on? They had like a bunch of shares locked up. I've got some 315. You got puts? I mean, I like it short. I mean, it's tough to trade. I've never. Have I traded? I think I tried it one time, but when it was all crazy, when it went all the way up to like 300, that was so crazy, wasn't it? I mean, obviously, it's trending down, right? So I just thought it was interesting here. You had the, big triangle, descending triangle here. and then it broke to the downside, and now you have another descending triangle here. It looks like it's probably going to break to the downside, probably like the 50. I can't guarantee that. Right? I don't know. Maybe unlocking the shares will make it spike or something like that. But it does look. It looks like Bitcoin, But in general, it looks pretty weak, and there's lots of gaps below too, right? 46 area is a gap here at like 50 area, so it does seem like it could fill those pretty quickly, especially once these things unlock. It could give you some turbulence. I mean, it might just fill it pretty quickly, and you could profit from that. So I'm rooting for you on that one. All right, I see. Have a good night, Sergey. Good to see you. Can wave 2 also be a diagonal, flat, or a triangle? Yeah. No. They could be mini diagonals, right? If there's a small impulse wave, but corrective waves are always they're going to either be a zigzag, a flat, or a triangle. Wave 2 cannot be a triangle though. It can have a triangle in it on wave B if there's a wave B in it, right? Which there would be. But so wave B could be a triangle, but the full wave 2 is not going to be a triangle. If you see a full wave as a triangle, it's a wave 4. And it could have a diagonal if it were like a zigzag, right, with a 5-3-5. So the 5, there could be like a mini leading diagonal. But I'm saying they're not going to be like huge like that. They're not going to be definitively a diagonal, right? It's either going to be a flat, a zigzag, or a triangle, or a complex correction, right? So some combination of multiple corrective waves through like an X, Y, or Z pattern. Usually the most you see in a corrective wave. We'll talk about it more on Wednesday on the corrective patterns, but you can get, usually the most you'll see is 3 corrective patterns in a row. Thanks, man. Yeah, and thanks, Jesse. I might have to do it again this week too. So, but we'll see. No problem, J Kosak. Good, man. I'm glad. I hope you made money on that on Friday. You could, yeah. Hope that went well. My pleasure, Merritt. Yeah, we're doing them all this week, so it'll be good. Let's talk for the short list and the challenge now. Yeah, so challenge, the short list, we're looking at Nike, Abercrombie and Fish, H-A-N-F, Home Depot, and then McDonald's is on the list, but we're waiting for it to get up to 180. So it's still kind of longish. I just missed didn't get a good entry on it long. I did originally get it before starting the challenge, but you kind of took profit early on that one. Do you look into short interest? Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't look at it daily, but I do look at it to see. Carvana short interest. Oh, 50% short interest. Are you kidding? That's awesome. Let's look at it real quick. Yeah. And then I gotta go to bed. I'm gonna say short on this one. I mean, mostly this thing doesn't look like it's going anywhere. Has anybody ever used Carvana? I don't know. I've seen a billboard on it, so they're definitely spending money. I don't know if they're making money though. Wave 1, 2, 1, A, B, C, 2. Whoop, 2. I'm just working on a wave 3 down. The thing with short interest is that the higher the short interest, the bigger it squeezes, right? So a lot of guys, will look for falling wedges on those, maybe. Like some sort of falling wedge or something like that, but then if it breaks out, it might get some short squeezes and stuff like that. So, but right now it's looking overall pretty bearish. Wish I could pull up my charts a little bit better here, but had an inside week, kind of stayed inside real body. I mean, it's just not getting any power. It doesn't have earnings for a while too, so I think it's probably gonna get beat up for a while. You had a quick golden cross that failed. Now it's going to death cross back down and probably would push lower, I would imagine. So I guess there's a reason there's a lot of short interest on it, because people are pretty negative on it. So, random question: what do you do for day job? So day job, Jeff, I am a project manager. So manufacturing type stuff. I was a nuke in the Navy, and then did nuclear stuff, and so now I do manufacturing stuff. It's kind of nuclear related. Kyle G, I'll catch the rest of it tomorrow morning. Cool, man. Have a great night. No problem, Brandon. My pleasure. Surely you got... I snuck in 2 more. SBMK. Yeah. I mean, had a pretty big day the other day. A lot of things did this. So you got to watch out for the type of I just feel like the market's just suckering a lot of people long. But yeah, kind of here on the 30 time frames, a little bit of a cup and handle type break. Yeah, I remember looking at this in the IPO list too. I mean, this just was one that just failed. So at this point, we just got to keep an eye on it to see. If this was wave 1. See, Tencent was actually giving us had a bad IPO as well. So if this were wave 2 here, it gave a 50% retracement. And it looks like here it's just working on wave. It looks lower. I don't know if you can get shares on this thing. But it looks like it's working on, kind of like a wave 1, 2, and then it's going to give you like an impulsive wave 3 down. SVMK is probably garbage. It'll probably be like a $5 stock before you know it. Especially once it breaks through 10, it's going to really go down. Too bad all these IPOs stink. They're supposed to be the fun ones. All right, and Vail. Yeah, didn't we see this trend line here last time? So yeah, so it kind of came up off of that, and looks like it's working its way back up. So give it some time to consolidate. It's kind of in that median level right here. Then might push up a little bit higher to that 15 for you. There. And then see if we're going to out west a lot, but saturated market in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, car market's just rough. I mean, it's just a rough market. So it's just, like you said, it's saturated. So anyway, guys, I appreciate everybody's participation tonight. It's after 11 o'clock, so past my bedtime. So hope you guys have a great night, and I will see you online tomorrow. And have a great trading day tomorrow, and a good trading week this week. And hopefully, we'll get our first trade in soon, more than likely after the Fed day. So we can start turning $500 into $50,000. So have a great night, everybody, and I will tweet at you guys tomorrow.